As you can tell from the title, I decided to make a little programming course using C++ programming language. I believe I already have enough experience to make something useful. I first saw C++ during my high school studies, and I even created some small commercial applications around 2005. I later studied nuclear fusion physics, taught math and physics for a few years, but I ended up as a C++ developer again, which I have been doing for more than 5 years now. The course is supposed to be for anyone who wants to learn something new and have some fun. My intention is to make it useful even for people who don't want to be professional programmers, because I think that at least basic understanding of the subject is very helpful to anyone, and it can help you understand concepts from many related fields. My goal is to show you that it is not as difficult as it looks, which relates to both C++ and programming in general. What you are now seeing are some simple projects that you should be able to tackle after you finish the first chapter of the course. If you already did some research online, you probably found many discussions about whether C++ is a good choice when you want to start with programming. I have actually dedicated a whole video to that question, so follow the link in the description if you want to hear my opinion in more detail. In short, I consider C++ to be a good way to start, providing that you follow a good course at the beginning and resist the temptation to hurry things. You may think that making another C++ course is pointless because there are already too many on the internet. However, I would like this course to be slightly different from the most, so I believe there is still space for it. My intention is to do it the way I would have liked someone to present it to me long ago. Almost all C++ courses that I saw teach programming with console input and output first. This makes a lot of sense because doing graphics is quite complicated in C++, and working in the console is relatively simple. However, when I was beginning years ago, I didn't want to implement a linked list control through the console, or text-based games. I wanted to write the Tetris and Pac-Man clones, like everyone else. I wanted things to move, have colors, and so on. Because this was not a part of the curriculum, I ended up trying to do all of this by experiments, which was very inefficient, frustrating, and led to very bad habits. To work around this problem, I created a very simple graphics API which requires very little upfront knowledge. I will use it since the first lesson, so we have enough power to do the interesting projects quickly, hopefully before you lose interest and get bored. I will intentionally postpone many things that C++ courses traditionally start with. This debt can be paid later, and I believe this is a good approach to keep the learning process interesting. The second point will be quite difficult to balance with the first, but I believe it is possible to do so. I would like to teach simple things first. As obvious as it may sound, this is maybe the worst problem of many existing programming courses. Instead of teaching the basics and sticking to it for some time before adding more, they try to teach everything at once. After several lessons, the student has heard about pointers, object-oriented programming, templates, and linker setup, and they have no idea which of these things they are supposed to use and when. I believe that it is better to intentionally stay away from such topics and focus on the basics. You can make very interesting projects without the advanced stuff. I have years of professional experience as a developer, and although there is definitely a lot that I do not know, I have quite good understanding of the real-world problems. I also have some experience in teaching math and physics, but time will tell if that will help. Programming evolves, and courses teaching C++ from the year 2000 are not the best choice anymore. Some things can or should be done more easily today, and it also makes the learning easier. This course will teach you modern C++ in line with C++ core guidelines, which is a set of rules about how to efficiently write readable and safe C++ code. Programming is about problem solving, and programming courses should reflect that. While we obviously need a programming language to do something, this course will focus on programming. It is nice to explain what a variable or a loop is, but it requires practice to be actually able to use them. I would like to finish the first chapter of the course to teach the absolute basics and then take a break and provide in-depth tutorials to practice. Why should you even learn programming? The most obvious answer is to earn a living as a programmer, but I would put that aside for now. There are many different reasons to learn it. Most of all, it is fun. Making even a small application can get very interesting, and it is very satisfying to see it gradually appearing. I still remember when my schoolmates played a game that I made. Each controlled the direction of constantly growing line, and the goal was to trap the other one and make them crash. Programming can be a hobby as good as any other. Next, it may help you better understand things you already know from math or physics. Basic knowledge of programming gives you an opportunity to play with things like that yourself, helps you to understand it better, and keeps them interesting. Take for example planets revolving around the sun. Making a simulation like this makes you understand how gravitational law and laws of motion work. When people normally see simulations like that, they tend to think that it must be extremely difficult. It is actually much simpler than it looks. A approximate model of the solar system is very easy to simulate, just by knowing the very basic rules that are taught in high school physics. It is the computer who does the hard work. It is of course more complicated if you needed your simulation to be really precise, but the principles are not complicated at all. In fact, teaching math, physics, and programming together makes a lot of sense. Another reason to learn programming is that it will make you think in a certain way. We all live in a world that has been tremendously affected by technology. Cars, computers, medical machines, and so on. This was all made possible by hard work of many people who were able to look at things from the right perspective, were able to experiment and deduce, and were capable of abstract thinking. Programming is not only directly applicable, but it will help you develop this kind of thinking. And that will be helpful to you even in case you end up doing something completely different. In order to follow the course, you will need a desktop computer or laptop running Windows, Linux, or macOS operating system. The machine doesn't have to be new and super fast. In fact, pretty much any machine will do. You don't have to buy any extra software. All that we will need is free and available on all the 3 platforms. I will show you exactly what to download and how to set it up. I believe this was enough of an introduction. Thanks for watching, and I hope you will subscribe and follow the course.